and the Senate led by Honorable Kadhuri Morongi. Honorable Speaker, we met for many hours, late at night, to discuss about the amount of money that will be going into our counties as equitable share. Honorable Speaker, equitable share comes from shareable revenue. And Honorable Speaker, as we are debating this motion today, and even as we table the report, Honorable Speaker, we have seen a lot of improvements in our counties. Most of the governors are doing their best insofar as providing the critical services that are devolved is concerned. But you also noted in the mediation committee running through many hours that our county governments need more resources to be able to function optimally. And I say so, Honorable Speaker, because there are some elements that we have been able to partner as national government together with county governments, Honorable Speaker, and they need more resources for them to optimally partner with the national government, and especially when it comes to industrial centers that you are building in every constituency, into community health promoters, and any other such very important, critical, and some socio investments, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when we met as a mediation committee, many times people, when they see the name mediation, what comes to the mind is that there is a case. And when there is a case, there is the we and them. But Honorable Speaker, one thing that I want to report to this House is the kind of, as I said before, unity of purpose that we witnessed. We actually realized we were speaking the same language, the National Assembly and the Senate. And we had to consult with the executive, Honorable Speaker, because this is a weighty matter. And I want to also thank our leaders led by the President, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for specifically pronouncing himself about the support for devolution. In our consultations, Honorable Speaker, the President was very categorical that this administration is an administration that supports devolution, and we must do everything possible to support our county governments in running efficiently and optimally. When we went for mediation, Honorable Speaker, the Senate had proposed a figure of 415 billion Kenya shillings as equitable share. Honorable Speaker, the Commission for Revenue Allocation had suggested a figure of 398 billion Kenya shillings, approximately. This House, Honorable Speaker, had proposed a figure of 391 billion Kenya shillings, Honorable Speaker, approximately again. Honorable Speaker, when we met, because this House, the National Assembly of the 13th Parliament, supports devolution, because the Senate has got very, very good, intelligent people, Honorable Speaker, who are supporters of devolution, and because we have a president who is all out in supporting devolution, Mr. Speaker, after the negotiations, after the mediation, I want to report to this House that, in fact, this House will go into history as the House that actually walks the talk in support for devolution, because we have been able to increase the equitable share from 385 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker, to a historic, Honorable Speaker, figure of Kenya shillings, 401 billion Kenya shillings equitable share that will be going into our counties. Honorable Speaker, for this to happen and for this to be successful, it is important for me to acknowledge the Council of Governors, led by Governor of Kirinyaga, Governor Anne Waiguru. She has been attending the meetings before for mediation. We have talked about this matter, and she has pronounced herself very clearly in terms of getting more resources for our county governments, and she also did a lot for us to get to this figure. Honorable Speaker, again I want to repeat that we have an unprecedented figure, a historic figure of 401 billion Kenya shillings that will be going into our counties, Honorable Speaker, as equitable share. That means better services in healthcare. That means more efficient services in the agricultural sector. That means more money in hiring ECD teachers, Honorable Speaker. It means more money for county roads. It means more money, Honorable Speaker, for all the devolved functions. Honorable Speaker, we foresee that this figure may increase because there is a process currently of unbundling some of the shared services and functions. Still, the national government retains a lion's share in healthcare. It retains quite a huge amount in agriculture. There is a process that is currently ongoing of unbundling those services so that county governments can actually get more resources when functions are truly and fully transferred to the county governments. Honorable Speaker, I wish to state those facts. And I know Honorable Soro is looking for me, but Honorable Nyakundi had already taken the cue to second the motion, and I request Honorable Zafeth Nyakundi to second this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. First of all, I also want to thank the chairman of the Budget and Appropriations Committee and the chairman, the co-chair of the Budget and Appropriation Committee in the Senate, who was Honorable Murungi, in making sure that the mediation process that we had between the National Assembly and the county and the Senate on the division of revenue bill has come to a success. This is the first time historically that the money that is going to the county, the shareable revenue, hits a 400.18 billion Kenya shillings. This is the money that is going to assist us in our county governments. As the national government and as the national government, we want to assure the county government that we support devolution. The President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, supports devolution, and that is the reason today we are smiling on the money that is going to the county government. This money that is going to the county government will go a long way in paying pending bills. Most of these county governments have a lot of pending bills. This money, 400.1 billion, that is shareable revenue, will go in paying pending bills that most of our contractors, most of our business people who do business with county government and have not been paid are able to be paid, because most of them have lost their property, most of them have lost lives because they have not been able to be paid. Number two, county government will now be able to pay the ECD teachers, will now be able to employ ECD teachers, and will now be able to build more classes for our ECD classes. This money that goes to the county government, the 400.1 billion, will go a long way in making sure that the county government are able to put drugs in these hospitals, because we've seen most of these hospitals do not have drugs. Most of these hospitals are not well equipped. This money will assist in building more healthcare facilities, in building level 1 hospitals, in building level 2 and level 3 hospitals, together with dispensaries. We want to assure the county government that the national government will make sure we assist the county government in making sure that all the devolved functions are working well and prudent, in making sure that all the county roads that are there are done properly, by making sure that we've given them enough money, that these county roads are able to be motorable. These county roads, our farmers are able to take their produce to the markets. Our farmers are able to make sure that they use roads that are well motorable. These will also go a long way in making sure that in the agriculture sector, we are able to employ agriculture extension officers that are able to assist farmers in the village and are able to subsidize more on the fertilizer that the national government has been able to subsidize fertilizer, and the county government should also assist in making sure that the fertilizer that we have subsidized, also they subsidize further. They are also making sure that the aggregation and industrial parks that we have started are going to work and our farmers are going to be assisted, and our farmers are able to get value addition, because if we build these industrial parks, our farmers are able to get value addition on the products and the produce that they are producing. So I want to support this motion, and I want to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, for making sure that he supports devolution, for making sure that the county government are able to get enough money to make sure that they are able to work efficiently and effectively. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second.
Thank you. Members, before I propose the question, join me in welcoming the students from Machakos Girls High School who are seated in the public gallery. They are welcome to follow our proceedings today. Members, I wish to propose the question that, pursuant to the provisions of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2024, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 4th June 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2024. Now, the first person to have a bite at this chair would be the Honorable Tandi, for obvious reasons.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill, which has been ably presented by my chairman, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, Chairman, Budget and Appropriations. Honorable Speaker, I was part of the mediation team that midwifed this report, and together with the team that represented the National Assembly, led by the co-chair Ndindi and also the chair, the other co-chair from the Senate, the Honorable Kaduri Murungi from Meru County. I want to say that this is one of the best reports that this House is going to pass, and the amount of money which we have given to the counties has now passed the 300 figures. So, Honorable Speaker, this is really a substantial amount which, if well utilized by our counties, we are going to see development in the counties. Honorable Speaker, as we discuss this mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill, I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that the shareable revenue to counties is not subject to supplementary. That even if the revenue focus is not achieved, the money allocated to counties is never changed. So therefore, it's stable money, which counties really have no excuse. Because whereas we are going to amend we are going to have supplementary budgets here in response to shortages of revenues, the money is going to counties does not change. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, is that there are some functions which have not been properly devolved. And this is something which this House needs to take very seriously. Even as we pass the budgets here, there are some budgets that are still being held by national government against the Constitution. So I think this is something which we need to really be serious about and ensure that all those functions which were constitutionally meant for counties, they need to be done by counties. Again, if this is done, Honorable Speaker, then we are not going to have this conflict when we are sharing revenues vertically between national government and counties. Because the argument which has been advanced by governors and even the Senate is that there are so many functions which we are still holding up here, which actually should go to the counties. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, we are I think, in the 13th year of devolution. And, Honorable Speaker, there are some counties that are still ashamed. If you go to some counties, Honorable Speaker, you wonder whether they have been receiving these billions of resources. And I think at this stage, let us also use this forum to caution counties and some governors that we are not going to see them misuse resources or lazing around and failing to implement development projects for the benefit of our people. Devolution was created so that our people in the grassroots are supposed to benefit and to grow. But, Honorable Speaker, many governors are corrupt. Honorable Speaker, many governors are corrupt. They live large. They are not implementing development projects. Honorable Speaker, if you go to some counties, I don't want to mention their names, nursery students, nursery children don't even have, classrooms, ECD classrooms. They don't exist, But governors are running around in convoys, big convoys, Honorable Speaker, there's a governor who traveled to a foreign country, or a convoy of more than 100 staff, Honorable Speaker. So this is something which we really we need to talk about, Honorable Speaker. Even as we give them resources, we must ensure that there's a way in which we are going to check how they're using the resources. Honorable Speaker, I don't think senators are doing a good job in terms of oversighting counties. That is my personal view, because if they were doing a good job, then we would be able to see and ensure that these counties are performing the resources we give them. But senators are only interested in, backbiting National Assembly. They want to do the roles that you're supposed to be doing here, oversighting national government, but they have left counties to die, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, let me say that let devolution work for our people. And if they cannot work for our people, we can discuss. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this is a basic issue, and I would implore the chair of the Budget Committee to listen to me. The fact that the committee noted the need of the counties, that is the basic issue. The basic issue here is not whether people support devolution or not. The basic issue is the process of the BPS. When we do the BPS, Mr. Speaker, we have tremendous amount of details from the national government telling us in great detail what the needs of the national government is, department by department, agency by agency. At that time, the National Assembly has no idea completely what the needs of the counties are. So to a large extent, the BPS is a document of the National Assembly. In fact, it's a document of the national government and not a document of the country. So that when we come to the division of revenue, which is a direct product of the budget policy statement, we are actually guided by only two factors. Factor number one is the constitutional 15%. Then factor number two is from the allocation of revenue commission, whose details we do not know when we are discussing this at the National Assembly. So what happens, Mr. Speaker, is depending on those two factors, we come with a figure without knowing what the needs of the county governments are. So the chair of the committee is right when he says that when they sat down, now they started to see the needs of the county governments. And they are accounting ECDs, they are counting health, they are counting irrigation, they are counting water. That is because we missed that information when we are discussing the budget policy statement. And that is where the division of revenue bill comes from. So unless we look at that factor, Mr. Speaker, this thing will be perennial. We will always be having a mediation in this process because the Senate actually has a better insight of what the needs of the counties are than us. And they understand emotionally, constitutionally, that it is their duty to support the counties. Therefore, they delve to find out what is it they need. The National Assembly at that time has no information. So then we make the decision of the division of revenue on that basis. And therefore we have to wait until they refuse. Then we sit down, and that is when we start to have an inkling as a National Assembly, and not the whole National Assembly, only those who are involved in the negotiation. So this is where the problem is. And actually it is a reflection that we have not actually implemented the devolution process properly. It also relates to what happens to the ministries. Look at ministries where we say they're devolved, but they still have national functions. Look at health, look at agriculture, look at water, look at even fisheries. There's still a lot of money that is actually being allocated at the national level, while these functions are actually agreed to have been devolved. Now, where is the link where the national government and the county governments actually meet and see the needs of each other. The Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee actually, in my view, is not working. It's not working. The Council of Governors, the Secretariat, and the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee are actually fighting each other. They are not working together. So where does the national government get to know the problems of the counties? The technical officers at the county, where do they get an insight in the process of the policies that will affect what they implement? So, Mr. Speaker, that is the problem, and that's what we need to address. And where can we address it? IBEC. Because it is IBEC that there is this meeting, and I'll actually talk to the chair of the budget committee because I really wanted to listen to this. If IBEC would then come with the details that we require and come to us at the time of discussion, we may actually solve this problem and we may not have these negotiations year in, year out, because we'll have then seen the needs at National Assembly when we are discussing the division of revenue bill. So, as much as I present them, that basic problem we need to solve.
Thank you, Chair. I hope the Chair Budget got that. The member for Kimilili. And members, like I said earlier, there are members who started queuing at 9:30, and they are on this queue, so I'm going to follow the queue the way it is.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to contribute to this very important bill in this country. And for the first time, Honorable Speaker, I want to agree that Kenya as a country, we are progressing. I say so because it is for the first time since devolution was implemented in this country that the revenue that we are actually sending to the county has crossed the 400 billion mark. This is actually 24.4% of the last audited account, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is progressive. And I am convinced, I am confident that in the near future, we will even hit the ceiling set by the Constitution of 45%, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, while there have been some outcry about some governors living large, not living within the expectations that are expected of them by the members of their respective counties to properly utilize these devolution funds well, I want to agree that not all counties are not accountable to the people, Honorable Speaker. That indeed we have some counties that the governors are really stretching their hand beyond the normal, that they are usually properly utilizing these funds in improving the lives of the people of those counties. So we cannot therefore use the behaviors of a few governors who are not spending this money prudently to blanketly condemn all the governors in this country. Devolution has done wonders in most of the counties in this country. And I think from what I said that this country is progressing forward well, I am 100% convinced that in the near future, all the 47 governors, all the 47 county governments will actually begin to utilize this devolution money well so that we can improve the lives of the Kenyan people going forward further. I also want to take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to thank all the members of Parliament, both the National Assembly and the Senate, who have been burning midnight oil to refine this division of revenue bill. And I may not necessarily, we want to thank the Chair of Budget and Appropriation Committee, the Honorable Ndini Nyoro, because his competence and that one of the members of this committee are actually expected. We expect that they will do well, because, Honorable Speaker, they have always been a blessing to this country. They have responded to the call of duty when called upon by our Constitution to do these things, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I finish in contributing to the Division of Revenue Bill, I will want the County Government Act to be amended so that they follow the same procedures of project proposal approval, the way we do with our CDF. There are no projects that can be abandoned, even when members of Parliament or the CDF committees changes from year after year, Honorable Speaker, because the laws of NGCDF Act will actually not allow that new projects can be funded without first completing the previous one. So I think these issues of having so many pending bills and so many projects that have been abandoned by the county governments, they should be a thing of the past. If we can refine those laws to ensure that no new project can be initiated without first completing the previous one, regardless of whether they were initiated by the previous governor who was short, who was tall, who was black, who was light-skinned or not. Because all those projects are funded from the exchequer. They are funded by the people of, from the taxpayers of these people of this country, and they need to be completed, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, it is important that that one should be put into consideration. And also, most importantly, Honorable Speaker, that we should also have a law that prevents governors who are exiting offices from overcommitting the budget by launching serious projects that require too much money, which later on they are pardoned when the new governor comes in, Honorable Speaker. With these very few remarks, I support this bill. Thank you.
Member for Sigoet, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity you've also given me so that I can express my support for the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill. At the onset, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for your pronouncement that we, members of Parliament who come and queue from 9 in the morning, should get a fair opportunity to be able to speak to the issues that are being debated. All said and done, Mr. Speaker, the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill is a product of intense discussions between the Senate and the National Assembly. And we want to thank Honorable Ndindi Njoro and the co-chair who have actually made sure that at least we get this bill before the National Assembly so that we can be able to release monies to the counties for them to be able to do their projects. As we do so, Mr. Speaker, I want to be on record to say the National Assembly, and indeed most of us as members of the National Assembly, we do support devolution. Even as we do support devolution, Mr. Speaker, we do not support pilferage, we do not support wastage, we do not support corruption. Those are virtues which we as the National Assembly must continue to fight. We also want to clear the impression that we do not support devolution as a National Assembly. Indeed, we support devolution much as the Senate supports devolution. And I want to thank the people of this country for their wisdom which they put into the 2010 Constitution. They created a bicameral parliament that is horizontally divided, Mr. Speaker. They did not create the upper house, they did not create the lower house, they did not create the House of Lords, they did not create the House of Commons, they created a bicameral parliament that works for the welfare of the people of this country. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to touch on two issues as I wind up my contribution. Issue number one is on agriculture, and I want the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee to listen to me. Agriculture is a devolved function. Can I have your attention, Mr. Speaker, can I have the attention of the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee? Agriculture is a devolved function. Much as it's a devolved function, Mr. Speaker, we do not know as a country the aggregated amount of money that is devolved to agriculture. We at the national level are appropriating close to 4% of our budget to agriculture. How much of the budget is being devoted by the county governments? How much of that is coming from our partners at the international level who support agriculture? That we need to know so that, Mr. Speaker, as a country, we want to know whether we get to the 10% threshold, which was given by the Maputo Declaration on expenditure to agriculture. If you look at the economic growth of this country in the last 1 year, Mr. Speaker, the economy grew by 5.6%. The contribution of agriculture is around 19.8%, around 20%. And if we invest more in agriculture, Mr. Speaker, then we should be able to spur the economic growth of this country. At the moment, internationally, we rank number 2 in terms of growth in GDP. We can be able even to get to number 1 if we spend more money in agriculture. And the chairman of Budget and Appropriations Committee noted that we are giving $4 billion in his presentation earlier on subsidies of fertilizer. Mr. Speaker, I'm of the view that as we subsidize fertilizer, we should also subsidize seed and seedlings. The two of them go concomitantly in terms of agricultural production in this country. And finally, Mr. Speaker, on roads, the roads that belong to the national government must be spelled out by Kenya Roads Board. And those roads that belong to the county governments must be spelled out so that we don't get into a situation where we conflict on whose responsibility it is to do a particular road. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Baringo. Member for Baringo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I also want to...
For Laffy, I said I'm going to follow the list. You actually 4th, 5th from the list that I have. So stop carrying your hands every now and then when I give someone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the onset, I want to declare that I'm a member of the budget. And I must say we did a good job, specifically on this mediation in the counties. Mr. Speaker, just like most members have said, that for the first time, we have considered the 410 billion to the counties because of mostly because of the needs that were brought before us during the mediation. And most thing that was proposed was the pending bills. We realize that most counties of Kenya today is so much dependent on debts, and pending bills is becoming a problem, and it's seriously hindering development within the counties. Mr. Speaker, the proponents of the Constitution 2010, in my opinion, should have considered many things when they were establishing these counties in Kenya. Today, if we are not very careful, this country of ours is going to go into deep problems because of the mismanagement of the counties today. If you realize, almost every things or programs that is being done, or the activities mainly, specifically like education, for instance, it is becoming so hard to realize that most of the education qualities of education, the quality of education in this country is doing very poorly. And you remember and you know that education starts from ECD, which is 100% work of the counties. And when you visit these counties, you realize most of the time the ECD or education in the counties is deteriorating so much, which results to a lot of illiteracy in the country. And that is why when we allocate this money, we expect the counties to step up, specifically in enhancing the quality of education, build structures that can help our children to go and have good quality of education. Also, we realize that there is a need of paradigm shift in management. I realize to some extent that most governors, I think it's because we elect these governors, that the way they execute most of the work is so much skewed to the extent that one part of the counties gets development at the expense of others. And this one gives that discrepancy so much that the counties might not be able to develop equally. And Mr. Speaker, if you realize also, corruption is becoming a problem. And it's like we developed most of the corruption habits to the counties, and it has impaired or affected the development of the counties. We have problems in the, production, and which to me, specifically agriculture, you realize instead of us continuously producing, we are continuously consuming, which has needed the coffers. And I mean, all the time we realize that we need a lot of money so that we can support the counties, specifically in areas of healthcare systems is actually also so much affected. And this way, we thank the president because of allowing us through the committee to, add and give at least this 400 billion to the counties for more support. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr.
For Samburu West.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this opportunity to support the mediated version of the division revenue allocation. And from the onset, I want to thank the leadership of this committee, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, and also Honorable Murungi, Senator, who are co-chairing this mediation committee, which I was part of, Mr. Speaker. It was an intense meeting, and some of the misconceptions that came out that the National Assembly does not support devolution were cancelled that day, because members from the National Assembly who were sitting in this mediation committee agreed with the Senate that it is important for us to fund devolution fully so that devolution can work for our people. And it actually came out from the final amount that was agreed on, Mr. Speaker. The Senate had proposed 415 billion. CRA had proposed 396 billion. The National Assembly had proposed 391 billion, Mr. Speaker. But by the end of the mediation process, we all agreed on a figure that is unprecedented, that is 401 billion Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker, that will go to our counties as the shareable revenue. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with Honorable Nyikal, who said that it is important when we're doing the budget policy statement in this House that we also know what are the priority areas of our counties, Mr. Speaker, because then it will inform our decisions, even as the Budget and Appropriations Committee, also as a House, Mr. Speaker, because we know what the counties are looking at, what are their projections, what are some of the things that they would like to do. When we met at the mediation process, Mr. Speaker, which you are also part of it, you saw that the Senate actually had an elaborate view of why they wanted more funds to go to the counties, Mr. Speaker. They had a document which showed that in the counties, there were some counties which had started doing the industrial parks. There were 21 others which have not started. There are continuing one which need to be funded, Mr. Speaker. There was also the issue of the community health workers, Mr. Speaker, where the county government were giving a shilling and the national government was also giving a shilling so that our community health promoters who are doing an excellent job are actually funded. There were also the statutory requirement of the taxes that were increased to, like the national, the housing levy or fund, which the county government employees are supposed to also remit. And so the Senate had a bigger picture and had the picture of why county governments had the funds, Mr. Speaker. And so I do agree that this House need to be appraised of some of these issues when we're doing the BPS. And so the matters that are discussed at the IBEG need to find itself in this House, Mr. Speaker, so that when we're allocating these funds, then we know what we are dealing with, Mr. Speaker. It is also clear, and we agreed, that even though we have some challenges in some of our counties, Mr. Speaker, we will, in terms of misappropriation of these funds once they get themselves to the county, as a House, we will not play that politics of once we give out, those functions are devolved, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to congratulate the chairperson of the Council of Governors, Honorable Anne Waiguru. We have seen her over time engaging with the relevant committees and also even members to see that the funds have continuously been increased from the time she was chairperson. We've seen her dedication and her commitment in ensuring that more funds go to the counties, Mr. Speaker, and also that those funds are remitted on time before the end of the financial year to go to our counties so that they can serve our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Members, join me in welcoming students from Happy Land Girls Senior School, Kajiado East. They are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. They are welcome to follow our proceedings this afternoon. I'll give the Honorable Caleb Mule 1 minute to welcome both Machakos Girls and the Happy Land Girls. Honorable Mule.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome Machakos Girls and the schools that are at the Speaker's Gallery and the public gallery. And I would like to encourage you, the sky is the limit. One time, many years ago, I visited and I was seated at the gallery, and I didn't imagine one time I will be seated inside here to debate. So you're welcome, and you're encouraged to continue working hard. The sky is the limit. Thank you very much. Just to contribute on that, Speaker,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker.
The Honorable Mule, that was not your chance to contribute. This chance now goes to the member for Suna West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the team of members of the National Assembly and the Senate who mediated for us this bill, the mediated version of Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill of number 14 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it is very important, and as a country, what we can celebrate is the 2010 Constitution. After independence, after we got independence, what we can celebrate, all of us, is 2010 Constitution, which came about with the issue of counties. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to have been the part of the members of Public Accounts Committee of the last Parliament, the 12th Parliament, who audited the government books of account to an extent where now counties can get money based on the audited account of 2020-2021. By the 11th Parliament, when we got into 12th Parliament, the audited accounts of government were 2013-2014 financial year. Mr. Speaker, having said that, we must retrospect ourselves as a country. Is devolution working for us? Are we getting value for the money we are appropriating to the county government? Mr. Speaker, if you ask me this critical question, I'll say, without mingling my words, that devolution is still not working for us because of the issues of governance. Mr. Speaker, I'm an authority when it comes to issue of governance, county government. Mr. Speaker, when I'm the last mayor of Municipal Council of Migori. When we were using Latif, which was a little money, people could see projects done by the municipal council and county governments, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, currently, with over 400 billion, if you ask the citizens of this country, majority will tell you the project done by CDF, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, what I'm proposing is that I'm in support of county government, but we need to do something as a country. We need to legislate acts which can enable the public to get value for their money on this money which we are allocating to county governments. Mr. Speaker, we must ask, what is the role of control of budget? Is it effective? We must empower now the Auditor General so that the 400 billion we are allocating to county can be audited by auditors so that we can get value for our money. Mr. Speaker, my proposal is that MCAs who are supposed to oversight the governors, we need to create what is called ward development funds so that each ward, after we have allocated money for counties, each ward can get their share of this budget. Not that all MCAs who are worshipping governors can get project while the rest of the MCAs are not getting project. For example, when you speak about an evil a governor is doing as an MCA, you'll be blacklisted. Therefore, moving forward, Mr. Speaker, I suggest that World Development Fund need to be put in place, and then we budget for Auditor General to be doing audit for counties. But furthermore, Mr. Speaker, as a country, we need to do things which can enable the public to see the benefits of the project being done by county governments. In some counties, you'll get a project of an ACD class done at 600,000, being launched by 20 vehicles, 100 staff of the county government. It means the money spent on the launching is more than the money used on a project. Mr. Speaker, this must stop. As we are taxing people, as we are giving people, making people to pay taxes, let them get benefits for the tax they pay, is when, if you increase taxes, they'll not complain. Mr. Speaker, my proposal is, moving forward 10 years after devolution, we need now to recheck on what must be done so that we can improve on the quality of services people are getting from the money we allocate to county governments of Kenya. Thank you, and may God bless you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. I join my colleagues also in support of this division of revenue bill, which provides funds to the national government, county governments, equalization funds, and the consolidated funds services. Honorable Speaker, I also thank the Committee on Mediation that did mediate on this bill. Mr. Speaker, we are where we are today because of the ineffectiveness of the Commission of Revenue Allocation. And as a country and as a House, we must think critically if we still need this Commission of Revenue Allocation. If we really need it, Mr. Speaker, they must up their game and advise accordingly. Two, we should also think if we really need these commissioners on full-time basis, because according to the responsibilities and the roles they have, it's only to advise and propose a formula. Going forward, Mr. Speaker, the national government has been allocated a whopping about 2.5 trillion shillings. As much as we are looking at the 400 billion allocated to the county governments, we must also interrogate how this money that are at the national government, about 85% of the budget, are utilized across the country. I propose that we must allocate these monies based on the constituency levels. We should interrogate this budget to know, out of the 290 constituencies, what has gone to Quisero, for example, what has gone to Ugenya, for example, what have gone to Kiharu, for example, so that we maintain the equality of resource distribution in this country. Mr. Speaker, as we allocate and appropriate 400 billion to county governments, according to the Schedule 4 of the Constitution, the functions that are there that the county governments are supposed to be done must be done. One, Mr. Speaker, we must ensure that our health sector or our health systems are working. Our people in the villages must be able to access quality, must be able to access safe, must also to access, the health sector must also be accessible to these people so that they can be treated. Two, we look at the issue of water. We must ensure that we have safe water to our people, and this water must be also accessible to the doorsteps. Mr. Speaker, as we finish, we must also allow those kings, those patriots, those people who have fought for devolution of this country. One, Mr. Speaker, as we support, we must also appreciate the Azimio leader, Mr. Raila Amolo Odinga, who has really fought for devolution of this country. Mr. Speaker, as we wish him well as he goes to the African Union, we must all laud him for his efforts that he did to ensure that devolution works in the Republic of Kenya. Lastly, as a House, Mr. Speaker, we must rise and interrogate this budget and ensure that this budget is equitable, distributed to all regions in the Republic of Kenya. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I wish you well as a party leader of MDG. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one is most important, actually. The member for Kisii.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I support this, allow me first to tell our male members of parliament the month of June is Men's Mental Health Month. And Mr. Speaker, to give them a small quote, please, because we women can't do without the male. Life is sweet, it's tough and unforgiving, so you know what to do. As I support, Mr. Speaker, the motion, let me say there are so many things that have been devolved to our counties, and we keep talking about them. For instance, Mr. Speaker, I come from Kisii County. We have very fertile rains. Water is devolved. Unfortunately, immediately after the rains, Mr. Speaker, our women walk down to the streams to fetch water. Some county functions, as per today, Mr. Speaker, are not working. Like Kisii County, we have more resources which are lying idle in the CRF account. And as we give them the budget, Mr. Speaker, I think we should have a stern warning to those governors who don't pay the pending bills. There is no need, Mr. Speaker, to give them money, yet when the financial year is gone, they still have a lot of money in those accounts. Contractors are complaining, which is not good when the money is there. Teachers are complaining, more especially the ECD teachers. They don't have classes. They have not been promoted. It is very sad. Like, as per today, you will realize, Mr. Speaker, there is no even tetanus vaccination in the hospitals. Most of us women who wanted maybe to plan giving birth this year, it is discouraging us. Small things which are basic to us are missing. So, Mr. Speaker, even the extension officers who used to train our farmers on good agricultural policies, they are missing. You give money for floods to counties, Mr. Speaker. At the end of the day, you find maybe the governor is giving 5,000, 10,000 to victims. You count the whole allocation. You find out that out of the 200 million which has been given to mitigate the floods, they've only spent maybe 10,000 in tokenism, which is not good. Let us, as we give out this money, consider doing the drainage, because when we have more floods, we are even affecting our soil nutrients. We will have no food, Mr. Speaker. Let me end it there. Thank you.
For Laffy. Is it Laffey?
Yes.
Is it Laffey or Laffy?
Laffey.
I'm for Laffey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. For onset, Mr. Speaker, I want to say I support the Division of Revenue Bill. I want also to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank my Apple Chair of Budget and Appropriation Committee, his co-chair, and all members who have made this to happen, Mr. Speaker, because we all know the National Assembly proposed 391 billion, CRA 398, and Senate 415 billion. Coming up to 401 billion was not an easy task, but we want to say they have done a good job for this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from 385 to now 401 billion, this is an increase of almost more than 15 billion. This will help the devolved functions to perform better, because we know some governors are doing very good job. In our area, Mr. Speaker, it is in record, out of the 47 counties, it is only in Mandera County where the governor of Mandera County is paying the school fees for all secondary schools in Mandera County. So that is a good job, and I say thank you to our governor, because he's helping the people who have elected him, because there is, today as we speak, since the governor was elected, no parent is paying a single coin for students going to secondary schools, and I say that's good work. Chair, we all, Mr. Speaker, we all know that health is a devolved, water, agriculture, ECD. So in this increase, we'll also support the governors to employ more youth, because our youth there are jobless. We know there are those who have done nurses. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, you find in Lefei a whole health center with only 2 nurses. So this now will help. The governors will now at least will not have a reason to say that we cannot employ because we don't have money. Now that we have given them 15 billion for shareable revenue, now they will have a reason. They will not have a reason to say we don't have money to employ youth. Mr. Speaker, we also know some governors have went out of their way to provide school feeding programs in their respective counties. So this will help them to do more work. I want also to go on record in thanking His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, because we know he supported devolution, and without his support, we couldn't have at least today said we are increasing this. Because of his good support, now the governors will get 15 billion more. So, Speaker, we know there are some areas which do not have ECD centers. In my constituency, there are so many locations without ECD centers. Now we will be happy, and the governors now, I'm sure, will prioritize this as a priority. With those few remarks, I say thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for South
I support.
Thank you. Member for South Mugirango.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate the committee, the Mediation Committee, for reaching out to this decision and allocating 400.1 billion to the county governments. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is the first time that this amount, or rather the county governments, are being allocated this substantial amount. It has always ranged between 370, 350, 380, and now we are at around 400 billion. And this is, when you work on the last audited report, you'll realize, Honorable Speaker, that this, in terms of percentage, it is about 24.4%. And up above what the Constitution sets as the limit or the least, 15%. So there is a growth, or rather a rise in percentage by 9.4%. We are in the right trajectory. But, Honorable Speaker, I support this with a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Because we really know what county governments do. Much as we appreciate some counties that do tremendous job, Honorable Speaker, it is also important for us to mention that there are other counties that you can hardly see what these amounts do. In as much as the national government is deeply focused on supporting devolution, pushing all the resources to the county governments, but it's also important for us to state that devolution in some counties, I don't know how others are able to do, but in some counties, Honorable Speaker, is not working. It is quite shocking that this amount of money, when now it is shared across the counties, if each person sits down with a pen and paper and do calculations of the amount of money their county receives, you'll be shocked and surprised on how that huge amount is misused. You'll actually be left wondering how an amount of money, for example, in my county, where 15 billion in the shared revenue is allocated in my county, you can hardly see what it does. Because we really need to review this law. Honorable Speaker, even as we celebrate that this amount, the huge amount, has gone to the county governments, I think it's about time that we have a discussion on how this amount should be spent. Because it is sad that it's about 90% of it goes to the recurrent expenditure. And unless unless we want to close our eyes. I think it's about time we support that the the MCS get to the level of managing funds in the name of Ward Development Fund. That is the only time that you can be able to see devolution really working. Otherwise, what we've actually done is creating some demigods in counties. You know, some people who, you know, assume big titles and move around like presidents, mini presidents within the counties, but you can hardly see what they do. And this is replicated across the country. You will see, and I said this last time and I was actually misquoted, you will see governors having their own, Honorable Speaker, I see you.
The Honorable Kawanjiko, you shall never do what you've just done again today, ever. You can never pass in front of a member contributing and looking at the eyes directly. You're not supposed to pass between him and myself, the Speaker. You distract him and you distract the House.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Kawanjiko is, I think this morning is confused. Maybe he had some mogoka in the morning. But, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker,
the Honorable Soro, you shall proceed to finalize your contribution.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I hear some noise. Honorable Speaker, I hear some noise, but let me proceed. I think it's part of the Mogoka working. But let me say this, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is about time we have this discussion to have the World Development Fund, to have the World Development Fund managed by MCS. Because if you don't do that, Honorable Speaker, this character of these things, Mogoka is still passing, of demigods, Honorable Speaker.
Give Osoro 1 more minute. Okay, Honorable Osoro, keep your seat. I want to listen to Honorable Ruku.
Mr. Speaker, it's against Article 11.3 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, and is against the Crop Act Mirror Regulation 2023, Mr. Speaker, for Osoro to want to use very defamatory words against a crop which is scheduled under the Crop Act
did Osoro
of
do
the
that?
Republic of Kenya.
Did you do that, Honorable Osoro?
It's against.
Did you keep your seat? You've made your point. You've made your point. Keep your seat. Did you do that?
Honorable Speaker, I all along I've been knowing Mogoka as part of the crops, and me saying that the Honorable,
did you do that?
I did not do that.
Okay,
I did not do that,
proceed and be relevant.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much. I think I've answered Mogoka. But, sorry, the Mogoka point. But my point in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, is that this character of the members of the Council of Governors, Honorable Speaker, spending huge amount of money in unnecessary things should actually stop. Because with this allocation, what we've actually done is to devolve corruption. We've devolved, we've created some more demigods across the counties. And even as we support them, Honorable Speaker, I think it's very important for us or for the government to be very keen on the way this money is spent. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Barto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the chance to also make my contribution. And I would wish to thank the chairs who spearheaded this exercise until the agreement such that devolution was upheld and money was increased. Mr. Speaker, the drafters of the devolution knew that devolution was going to go a great way in developing our counties, our constituencies, our wards. Mr. Speaker, I hope that now this money has been appropriated for devolution, the increment. Let's see ECT teachers getting employed. Let's see infrastructural development. Let's see construction of schools. Let's see our mothers, our women, not going to the rivers to fetch water. We want to see them. We want to see water in our counties. Let's see the function of health. Let's see our health centers, our dispensaries, our hospitals fully operational, and we have enough staff to support our members of our communities. Let's see that devolution actually is working, and let the services be felt, because now there is money. And finally, Mr. Speaker, so that I can donate time to my colleague here, is I hope that the money will be used prudently. Let not be used in a way which is not appropriate. Let us not see corruption in our counties, but let's see our governors fold their sleeves and go to work and give services to the wananchi of Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Kiara.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the Mediation Committee led by the very able chair of Budget and Appropriation and the co-chair from the Senate. Honorable Speaker, I want to straight away say the concept of devolution is the best thing that could have happened in this country. Honorable Speaker, we want to underscore the fact that devolution came so that services can be taken closer to the people. Honorable Speaker, I want to particularly call out the counties that are doing an exemplary job in ensuring that all the devolved services reach the citizens of this country. But, Honorable Speaker, as much as we say devolution, we had more resources, because resources must follow the devolved functions. Honorable Speaker, we are perturbed because instead of this money, a huge chunk of it going to the intended purpose, Honorable Speaker, we can see massive wastage in our counties. Honorable Speaker, it is the high time that we call out to the relevant authorities so that they can do a thorough audit and ensure that development comes first, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and this can only happen, Honorable Speaker, if we ensure that...
Honorable Kawanjiku, today you are so jumpy and active. What is out of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think reading the mood of the House, that majority of us have agreed that it is important for us to allocate, starting on under 95, Mr. Speaker, that we allocate money for the county government to a tune of about 400 billion.
That is not what 95 says.
Yes, I'm on it, Mr. Speaker. And understanding that the mood of the House, we now I beseech the Speaker to call upon the mover to reply, so that at least we can be able to deal with this matter once and for all. I support Mr. Speaker. We call the mover to reply.
Thank you. The Honorable Kiara, 30 seconds so that we finalize this.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your wisdom and wise consideration. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying let us ensure that there is more money in development as opposed to recurrent expenditure, where governors are at liberty to add more employees in the county at the expense of development. Honorable Speaker, I want to call out, as we allow more money to the counties, let this money be used prudently, Honorable Speaker, so that we can realize the fruits of devolution. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I thank His Excellency, the President of this Republic, because he is in the forefront of championing devolution. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Members, is it the mood of the House that we allow the mover to reply? The Honorable Ndindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. As I reply, I want to request the honorable members to come in the afternoon. We will be debating a very weighty matter, that is the budget of 24-25. Honorable Speaker, I thank all the members who have contributed. I beg to reply and request for the deferment of the putting of the question in accordance to Article 53.3, Honorable Speaker, of the Standing Orders, deferment to afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The question on this matter will be put the next time is put up for consideration. Oh, members, the time now being 1 p.m., this House stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, the 5th of June 2024, at 2:30 p.m.